Hi everyone, welcome to the last mini episode just before Christmas, because I'll show you some small projects this time because yeah, you don't have time probably to start another big project now, so it's better we do something small but still fun and useful, and more useful than this cat at the moment. Orson, what are you doing? Anyway, let's get started.
Go ahead and make me.
Drinking from a llama-shaped mug is not as easy as you might think. Poke myself in the eye. I've got these cookies. Don't mind me while I'm having a little bite. They're so good. I made these. They're called SPECULAAS. They're Dutch spiced biscuits. This is not a cooking show, so I'm not going to show you how to make these, but I will give you the recipe. You can find it in the description. They're so easy to make and they're absolutely delicious. Give them a try. Now, before we get properly started, I wanted to share something with you guys which I think is amazing. Remember this wreath? I showed you how to make this one 2 episodes ago, my moon wreath. I liked it as it was, but I did also ask people to, if they do make them themselves, to show me their version of it. And the more creative, the better. Chip from the Fiber Hustle guys, he took it upon himself to make this moon wreath. He said, yeah, I'm gonna do that one. And he made such a fantastic version of it. I was just blown away. It's fantastic. Well, have a look at the moon wreath that he made. It's really something else.
And so let me share with you what I made. I made the most gorgeous holiday wreath.
Look at this.
So Johan had he gave you the pattern. It's for free, and you download it off of. He'll have a link in his show notes. And it took me about a day to make this, and I am telling you, I couldn't be more thrilled.
Yeah, so I mean, isn't that fantastic? I just love his version, and I love that he chose one of my projects to show on their channel. And just want to say a big thank you to them. To both of them, that they've been so supportive of me all this time, and yeah, I'm looking forward to more collaborations in the future, perhaps. So what I wanted to show you today how to make are these little gingerbread men. They're, you know, decorative. You can put them in the tree, of course. You can pretty much hang them anywhere. They're cheerful and they're so easy to make. And besides that, we've got some stockings here. The gingerbread men here, return, and some other things that I'll show you later. The gingerbread men, I started making them. I made them years ago, and I keep giving them as gifts to people, and everyone seems to love them. The reason I started making them is because I saw them once, or a version of them, in a shop, and they asked so much money for just one of them. It was just ridiculous. So I thought, I can make that myself. So I went home and just started making them. And you know, if I do say so myself, there were no, you know, were just as good as the ones that I saw in the shop. So I hope you'll make some with me. They're lots of fun. The pattern, as always, is free, and you can download it together with the pattern for the stocking. I'll just show you that now. I mean, anyone can draw a stocking, right? It's basically just a big J shape. That's what it is. So if you have trouble making that yourself, just download the pattern. Then you download the pattern for the Gingerbread Men. Again, a very simple, easy shape. You might even be able to draw it yourself without using the pattern. And that's the basis for all of these different gingerbread men. Gingerbread women, gingerbread gender neutral people. So let's get started with these. By now you might know that I usually say make this in whatever color you choose, but of course a gingerbread man really does have to be a certain color. So I have the piece of felt of this sort of brown biscuit type color, and here we have the pattern. Now it's hard to write on felt with anything really, but one thing that does work is a fine liner. Just don't press too hard, because you just really need to know where you have to cut it out. So let's just do this with the fine liner. There, that's clear enough. Now, where did I put my scissors? So we just cut along the line. You don't have to make any kind of margin or seam allowance, because with the gingerbread men it's actually, I'll show you here an example. This one, for instance, you can very clearly see how it's been stitched together, and it's actually one of its charms. It sort of looks more sort of oldie-worldy and rustic that way. And also it sort of doubles as icing. You could imagine that's icing. And then here, for instance, this one, I did it with thread that you don't really see, but then I used this zigzag kind of ribbon that probably has a name, I'm not sure, as by way of icing as well. So you can just decorate it any way you want. So this is the front, and for the back I cut out another gingerbread shape, but I did use a different color, as you can see, so I'm sort of contradicting myself here, because the reason for that is simply that I didn't buy enough of this biscuit colored brown. So I'm using, as a backing, I'm using a different brown, and it doesn't really matter, because as you can see, you know, it doesn't matter, because you're never going to look at the back really anyway. So now before you assemble the whole thing, you actually decorate it, because it's much harder to decorate it once it's already assembled. Now you've got all kinds of options, of course, and yeah, it's all up to you really. I've used a variety of materials and colors, as you can see. Here I gave him a funny little Christmas hat. I just cut it out without a pattern or whatever. I just cut out this shape, put a little fur here, gave him a little hat. The face itself, of course, you're free to make it how you want. But for instance, here I've used little black beads as eyes. But if you don't have black beads, you can just use little circles of felt that I've used here, or even here, you just embroider them. So the effect is more or less the same on all three of them. So it doesn't really matter if you don't have all the materials that I've used. I gave them all a little bow Again, any material, any ribbon that you have will do, as well as the buttons. And here as well, if you don't have buttons, again, I just use little circles of felt and make them into buttons. And then there's little details, like I gave this one a little leaf of holly. Oh, and of course the little cheeks. Here the cheeks are made out of felt again. Here they're embroidered, and the same goes for the mouth. So, yeah. And if green and red is not your color scheme, you can, of course, the details can be any color you want, as long as you do keep the biscuit color for the little women themselves. Now I've just gathered some materials to decorate the little gingerbread men. Yeah, I've just got some thread here, for instance, that zigzag ribbon. Let me see if it actually is called something. No, doesn't seem to have a... Okay. Well, if you know the name of this, if it does have a name, please let me know in the comments below. Yeah, I got some beads here of all kinds of colors that can function as little buttons. I've got a marker that I can use if I'm feeling lazy, for instance. Here, his mouth, I didn't embroider it, I just drew it on with a marker. And then I've got these, which I think are just so cute. They're actually buttons, I imagine, for children's clothing. The little buttons, but they're in the shape of, I don't know if you can see it properly. They're in the shape of gingerbread men. I mean, who comes up with this stuff? I mean, it's just, I love it. I'm not even sure if I'm going to use these, but yeah, I just thought I'd take them out and see. Now, first things first, of course you want to give him his eyes first. There's no face without eyes. So I got these little black beads that I will use as eyes. I'll just put two little dots there, so I know exactly where I want them. And I will just attach them with some thread. Poke through the first dot. Now this is finicky work, because you have to find the little hole. Usually it takes me a bit longer than it did just now. And you just go in and out a few times to secure it. Second eye, just the same thing. There we are, the eyes. Now I can choose to either draw on the mouth or embroider it. And yeah, I'm gonna be lazy. I'm gonna just draw it on. There you go. That's a good mouth. Yeah, for the cheeks I will use felt. You just have to go get a piece of pink felt. So here we have two little pink dots as cheeks. Now I'm gonna do something naughty. I'm just gonna glue them on. you can't embroider everything on these gingerbread men because felt is quite unforgiving. It'll pucker, it'll stretch things out, especially when you want to attach things this size at this scale. It's so much easier to just glue them on, and it looks great anyway. Now the rest of the embellishments I will leave until the gingerbread man is assembled. The reason for that is, for instance here, these white pieces of ribbon, they go all the way around, so it's better to first attach both sides of the gingerbread man. And the way I do it, I like to use a blanket stitch, and I'm doing it with thread that has the color of the biscuit, well, the fake biscuit I should say. Now if you're not familiar with the blanket stitch, it's easy to learn. I'll just show you. You take your thread, go under, through both layers, and then you pull, but not quite all the way, because then you put the needle in the little loop that is left. See the little loop there? You put your needle in and pull it closed. That's the blanket stitch, because now you created almost like a little square with one side missing. So it goes like this, this, and this. That's the blanket stitch. And it's actually more visible on this one. As you can see, I did it with white thread, and you can see that it both has the stitches and it creates this whole line around the object. I just love doing the blanket stitch. Now as you come to each limb, like I've just now stitched around the entire first arm, I advise you to stuff it with a bit of polyfiber already, rather than stuffing the whole thing at the end, because it's much harder to reach all these little nooks and crannies when the whole thing's already been stitched up. So yeah, just a little dot of it, and you just push it in. Like so, so that it's already filled, and then you can go on to the next limb, in this case the leg. Now there's one more little thing that you shouldn't forget. If you do want to make the gingerbread man into an ornament for the tree or anywhere else, it needs to hang from something, right? So when you get to the point of the top of his head, don't forget to insert a piece of sturdy thread from which you can hang him. Now of course I can't find any. Let me just get it. Like, this is the kind of thread I'm talking about. I really like this one. It's both, you know, it fades into green, from white to green and back again. It's really nice. Not too long, something like that. A length like this should do. That should be long enough. Yeah, I guess it's best to just secure a little knot. And double it up just to be sure. And then insert we got our gingerbread man. Insert it at the top with the knot goes inside. There we go. Like that. And then you just incorporate it into your into the stitching. So you just, and perhaps it's wise to stitch back and forth a few times just to make sure that it can't just slip out like that. Now it should be good and secure. There. I just test it by like doing this. It's sturdy enough. So now you can continue closing up the rest of the gingerbread man. Just don't forget to also stuff his face with the polyfiber. There he is, all stuffed, just like we'll probably feel after Christmas dinner. So more embellishments. I was going to put this on as some of the others have it. So here he is, all finished. He's got some of the icing on his limbs, and he has in his hand a gingerbread man. So he's a gingerbread man who's holding a gingerbread man. I mean, only in 2020, right? Or it could be a gingerbread baby. Who knows? It's all possible. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching making this gingerbread man, and I hope you'll make some yourself. And if you do, please show me the results. Email me pictures, or post them on the Facebook page. I'd like to see all of them. The same pattern that we used for the gingerbread man, we can use again on the embellishments here on this stocking. Of course, you don't need to make the gingerbread man two-sided, because you only need the top side. And you just stitch them on the front, and it looks great. And it's another project that doesn't take too long to make. You just use the pattern of the stocking that I provided, and the top you just put on some fur, and there you go. Now I made two more ideas for stockings. Here we have a koala. After all, I do live in the land of the koalas, so I love koalas. I love looking at them. I love visiting them in the sanctuaries. The pattern is down below, free to download as well. And here, all I did was add some felt bits of holly. You can easily draw this yourself, but again, I did provide a pattern. It's a very simple project, but it instantly looks great. Looks like $1 million, doesn't it? Well, maybe not 1 million. Again, just add some fur. Or if you don't like, of course it's not real fur. If you don't like the look of it, you can just put a cuff on it of any other material. It's up to you. Here are those patterns I was talking about. You just download them, cut them out, put them on felt, cut them out again, and attach them to the stockings. And finally, I wanted to share with you this very special stocking that I made. It's a disco stocking. Yeah, it is. Let me show you. How cool is that? Do you love it? No, you're right, it's rubbish. Let's forget it. Alright, that's it for this time. And in fact for the whole year. I'm going to take a little break. I hope we'll see each other again in 2021. I want to thank everyone who's been watching and who's been subscribing. It means a lot to me, it really does. And I hope to see you again. Oh, these biscuits are just so good. Mmm. Mmm.